guys, it's Mihal with Rumble Coaching. Today we will go over a deadlift, probably the most intimidating and in the same time most important exercise. I don't like to say pick the best exercise, but if I would be really had a gun in my head and somebody asked me what is the best exercise out there, deadlift will be the one. The reason why it's so authentic to the way we do in our life. It doesn't matter what you do in life, you have to pick up things. It matters to kids, groceries. There's always something you will be finding yourself deadlifting. So that's why I find it so important. I usually start the fitness journey from teaching a hinging pattern and alright guys, I'm lucky to have Kerry here with me to demonstrate some of the drills. He's our fitness director, also a master trainer, very knowledgeable. I don't have time to highlight all his accomplishments and certifications, but definitely a perfect individual to pick on the brains. So how would I start the deadlift adventure? First, I would like to establish the depth of the deadlift. Most of people think that it has to be from the ground up. But the truth is, it all depends on your mobility and stability you have. So how do I know where is the depth, where should I start it from? So Kerry's going to put the pipe along his spine, and we're going to establish the three-point touch. From there, since the deadlift is a hinging pattern, which we're going to go in depth in a second about the idea of hinging. Kerry's going to hinge back and reach for the floor just like he was about to pick up some kind of a weight. Once we're going to see the first compensation, and it can be for some people head moving forward, for some people it might be rounding back. Anything that is going to, where he's going to lose the integrity of the spine and the three-point touch, that's where we're going to stop. And that's the awesome place where we're going to measure the depth. So Kerry's going to hinge with the stick along his, so you can see nice three-point touch. You can let go of water for you here. And at this point you see the head is moving away. I could also cue him, tell him, hey, bring your head back and see if we could kind of fix it. Right now we still got it, so let's say he's going to go a little bit deeper, and we can see, for example, here he's losing his neutral spine on his lower back. That's probably the worst case scenario you can have during a deadlift, because that's where most of injuries happen. So I would say probably a little bit higher, come up a little higher, let's get the neutral spine back. Right about there we regain the three-point touch. So I'm kind of going to look down here and see where are his hands. So we got it right about there. So from there, as you can see, I have a bunch of razors here, but normally I would just adjust the razors to his height. So for him, in this case, we already prepared it before. So right about there, he is allowed to pick up something. Now, in a second I'll go into how heavy that thing is, but for now we just want to establish the starting point. So this is the height as far as how deep do we go in. Okay, so we got the three-point touch. Now the second most important thing is, since deadlift is a hip dominant exercise, it's a hinging exercise, I would like to show you how I teach somebody the whole idea of hinging. My favorite way is to ask to step away 1 foot from the wall. So Kerry's going to step 1 foot away from the wall, and from there I actually even ask to keep that neutral spine. So he's going to have that pipe along. Make sure that the pipe is going right about to your tailbone, so not too low, because then the pipe is going to run into the wall, so you're not going to be able to hinge all the way. From here I'm going to ask you to reach with his hips towards the wall and bend right here. So this is the kind of crest. You can even put your hands in here and to your hip. You can feel where your hips are folding. So that's where you want to start the movement from hinging, and sort of a combination of hinging and bowing forward. The most important part is of moving your hips back and loading the hips. So Kerry's going to start the movement here. So as you can see, this is probably the most common mistakes I see. People squatting their deadlifts, so they're going down, and that's the main difference between the deadlift. Squat is more of a motion of the hips down, deadlift is more of the hips going back. So now I'll cue him to try to go with your hips towards the wall, so reach with your tailbone towards the wall, much better. And again, try to make sure that your feet are planted, so you're grabbing the floor with your feet. I always like to have a little bit more weight on my heels. And you can see he's maintaining three-point touch and reaching towards the wall. Of course, for Kerry, it comes naturally. For most of you, it might take even couple hundred reps before you get the idea, the difference between squat and the deadlift. Like I said, if I want to do squats, I will work on my squats. This is a deadlift movement. So just practice this one until you get really efficient in moving your hips back towards the wall while keeping the neutral spine three-point. All right, guys, so we established the depth and we already get the idea of neutral spine. Well, now it's time to actually reach for the weight. So we got the, try to pay attention where is the weight. It's right between your shins, so we don't want to have it in front of you. And this is just overall, my advice always to people, if you're about to pick up something heavy, get as close as possible to the object. The worst thing you can do is lift something far away, that's a pull out torque in your back, and that's why most people get injured. Or if the object is on the side, that's even worse scenario, because then you have a bending way too far and a torque on the top of that. So always try to get the bell, and this is beautiful thing about bell, because with the barbell you can get it between your shins. It's always going to be a little bit in front of you. With the kettlebell you can actually put it all the way between your shins. So Kerry's going to now reach for the bell. We already know that he understands the hinging pattern and maintains the neutral spine. Now we're not going to pick it up yet. He's going to just reach for the bell, squeeze the handle, set everything up. So try to pay attention to what I'm looking for once I already reach for the bell. Shoulders away from the ears, sort of an anti-shrug, so get the shoulders away. Turn on your lats. These are the muscles here. If you don't know what I'm trying to talk about, you can imagine if somebody about to tickle you, if you're ticklish, what would you do? Probably lock it in there. These are your lats, so you're going to keep it there. Next thing, bracing your core and making sure your feet are flat and more of the weight is on your heel. From there, you're going to come up empty with no weight. So I will just repeat a couple reps. The most important thing I noticed at the beginning is the breathing. It makes a huge difference. If you do not brace your core, you more likely going to feel in your lower back. And these are the people that usually are very discouraged and don't like the deadlifts because they start feeling the pain in the back. And the reason is the lack of bracing here in the core. So as you descend and about to lift it up, make sure you breathe in through your nose and brace your core. So kind of stabilizing and making sure your spine is safe. So we're going to add now the breathing into the hinging. So nice inhale through your nose, inhale, and come up empty again. I will do it for a couple dozen times until you get comfortable with the breathing, bracing. Most important things, lats engage, shoulders away from your ears, feeling that you're loading your hips. Make sure your weight is distributed over your whole foot, a little bit more on the heels maybe. Make sure your knees are not moving forward. So that will be the most important. Try not to rush it. Really get comfortable. You might find yourself sweating just doing that kind of a check. Lats, core, loading the hips, inhaling, and coming up. The most controversial part about the deadlift is how much weight should I deadlift? I usually try to answer it by imagine what kind of weights do you lift on a daily basis. So if you have a suitcase, what would you allow yourself to pick up or would not? So most of us pick up pretty heavy things in life. And then when we get to gym, sometimes we are intimidated, we don't want to have. So I would say if you're picking up a suitcase that is 35 pounds or 40, don't be scared. As long as we still follow all the rules we mentioned before, a neutral spine and the height of you'll be fine, especially the breathing. So keep that in mind. If you feel intimidated also by the deadlift, it's okay just to start a little lighter and build up the confidence, and you will see it's going to happen fast. You will find yourself quickly that the weight is way too light and you kind of want to move up in the weight. So that's as far as the weight. From here I would like to just cover a couple most common compensations and mistakes I see when people deadlift. Probably number one would be people squatting the deadlift. So Kerry is going to show how the squatting the deadlift looks like. So yep, so as you can see now, the knees go forward over the toes, and you're going to come up. So here, it's an exercise, I'm not saying it's bad, but probably you're going to find yourself at the end, your quads will be fried, and you're not going to really work that back muscles, the glutes, hamstrings, back, which the deadlift is targeting. So if I want to do squats, I will do squats. If I want to do deadlifts, I want to make sure you understand the difference. So try not to squat your deadlifts. The next one, I will probably go over the elbows. I see a lot of those. So Kerry's going to reach for the bell, and people start bending the elbows, so they kind of going deeper into the deadlift, which is putting the back in the back position most of the time, and the elbows is not locked in here. So you want to focus on that. That actually goes along with the. He couldn't resist to pick it up. I know that. That goes along with the weight. Trust me on that one. If the weight is too light, I see more of the bent elbows. So you will see it might even go away by just going up in the weight. Next one, very common, is what happens in the shoulder girdle. You were shrugging the deadlift. So here, so remember what I was saying before, anti-shrug. So we're going to drive the shoulders down and squeeze them together. Try to think about the sequence. I said down and together, not together and down. It's really important. I found it crucial. So always pull your shoulders away from your ears and give them a nice squeeze, engage the lats. So I always tap here, make sure everything is engaged. All right, next probably most common mistake would be, of course, the back. So we have some kind of rounding, which we already go over when we were talking about the neutral spine. But Karis is going to show like a rounded back. Yep, we have, that's definitely probably the worst case you can have. Spine under the load, probably good recipe to get some nice herniation or something. So now let's go over the feet. This is where I also notice a lot of issues. How we load the feet. You want to make sure that your center of gravity is over your base of support, which are feet. So you want to feel you are very grounded and the weight is distributed. So try to imagine you gripping the floor with your feet. And I always say cue to have a little bit more weight on the heels. That's going to help you to load your hips better. So here's going to move back, hinge, and come up. So again, this is hard to cue. As far as the feet, a lot of times I notice it takes a couple reps to fix it. Now also Kerry moved his weight forward. Yeah, that's also happening a lot. So you can see the heels are coming up. So definitely, I can tell in this position he's now loading his hips since he's on his toes. Probably a lot of sometimes you might experience. Okay, guys, just want to show you a couple different variations of a deadlift. The first one here, it says kettlebells are on a side, on both sides, so you can go a little heavier here. I also like this one because it's you can load your body, especially with the kettlebells, with more weight. So eventually, when you get comfortable, make sure the same rules apply as far as the depth. So if you were deadlifting here at a certain depth, make sure you keep the same depth, so you're not going to go heavier here. The same rules apply also as far as hinging, neutral spine. So the only thing is the kettlebells are on the side. Kerry's going to demonstrate here with the same form, inhaling and lifting up. Good. You can even play around and make it more of a core exercise. So from here, we're going to go not symmetrical. We're going to lift off only one kettlebell. So when I do this one, I always ask to actually grab the other one anyway. With that, so go ahead. You're going to grab and still hold the other one. Yep. That allows me to make sure that there's no torque or twisting in the body. So each time, even though I'm picking up the right one, I'm still holding the left right before, and right before I'm taking off. Yep. So you're going to grab again the left one, squeeze, and coming up. And we can alternate also. So now you make it even more challenging for your core, because your core has to adjust. And this is kind of like a side plank, because if you think about it, holding weight on one side is trying to pull you, so you're working the opposite side a lot. So great exercise here, especially when you start alternating for the core, so you're not only working that glutes, hamstring, back muscles, but frying your core. You might find yourself feeling it much more in the core. So as I mentioned at the beginning, deadlift is the first move I teach. One more thing I want to add, it's most of people I notice have very weak glutes and pretty bad posture. They rounded back and the glutes are not working. Deadlift actually targets both areas, so it fixes the posture, keeps that nice erect posture, and gets the glutes going and make them more efficient, so you can use them in other things in your life. Thank you for watching. It was Michal with Rumple Coaching, and I will see you soon again.